My name's Todd Heyman. I'm from Heartland, Vermont, where my wife and I run Fat Sheep Farming Cabins. It's a 5-cabin farm stay where tourists and Vermonters come and stay and check out our farm, where we milk sheep, grow vegetables, grow grain, corn, berries, fruit, grapes. My wife's cheeses have won awards at the American Cheese Society, and we've been at it for 10 years. In those 10 years, I not only got an Act 250 permit, but I've amended my permit. I've faced 2 enforcement inquiries and repeated harassment from my neighbors. The cost of Act 250 is the main thing I have come to share with you. It is not just about getting the permit and paying the fee. It lives with you forever. The jurisdiction is permanent. It can be weaponized by your neighbors. The criteria are discretionary. Things like aesthetics can be the basis for a lawsuit that goes on for years. And the agency is a long way from ready to handle the kind of unprecedented expansion of jurisdiction that was contemplated by Tier 3. They were talking about putting 27,000 parcels in Vermont subject to this agency's jurisdiction. You have no idea what it's like to have it on your land until you do have it on your land. This agency brought enforcement inquiries against me for the use of my barn for a neighbor's birthday party, because it was unable to find or locate a jurisdictional opinion that it issued saying my barn was agricultural, even if I did have an occasional gathering in it, which cost me money and time and relationships in my neighborhood. If an agency cannot even locate its own rulings, the thought of imposing that level of jurisdiction on 27,000 Vermont families and exposing them to what it's like to work with that agency was a profound mistake. I am grateful that the legislature has reconsidered. I'd also just like to say that it's important that we not waste the crisis this has created. I think one of the reasons the legislature reconsidered is they were aware of the fact that the agency was not up to the task. And it's time to get some reforms in there before they start expanding outward. From within the agency, there needs to be better review processes. There needs to be second set of eyes on the decisions of the district commissioners and the district coordinators before we end up in expensive court proceedings. There needs to be a usable Act 250 database, which you can search by parcel number and actually see what restrictions have been placed on it. And there needs to be an updating of how they enforce the 10 criteria of Act 250. There should not be enforcement of any land use rules in no zoning towns unless an elected body or the town itself has approved those land use rules. Right now, vague and unclear town plans operate as law, even though no body has ever warned any of those laws individually or ever voted on them. And then legislatively, if we really want to get serious about having Act 250 work better, it's time to kick the interests of the municipalities to the municipalities and have them pick up that work and take it out of the state permitting system. We need to reduce party status and reduce the weaponization of the law. Right now, you can't sue someone for violating Act 250. A neighbor can just file a complaint and they have to convince the state to come after you. Why would you allow them to essentially sue you for wanting to start a business and go into court for years before you can open it? There needs to be a reduction, if not elimination, of as much of the discretionary criteria as possible. People should know that they have a reasonable path forward, or otherwise we will continue to deter small little family businesses like my own from getting started in Vermont, and Vermont needs those businesses in these rural communities. And most importantly, I have seen in the years that I have been here an increasing trust in passing the work of the legislature off to stakeholder groups, regional planning commissions. It is time to confine planning commissions to planning. They should not be parties in litigation. They should not be able to create rules that are binding law. They are unelected. And there is no ethical enforcement mechanism governing the behavior of these boards with any teeth whatsoever. I am here to say that I I don't want the crisis wasted. I want to see reforms that make Act 250 work better. So instead of the legislature spending so much time deciding whose priority projects should get the free pass through the nightmare, we start to work to eliminate the nightmare.